This is a story close to the heart for us here at Fox. 41-year-old Loriana Hernandez is a former anchor at KTVC, Fox Austin, and a fitness and health reporter. She has dedicated her life to sharing people's battles with cancer, diabetes, and promoting overall health wellness. But she never thought she'd one day become the story. In January, Loriana was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia, the most common form of leukemia, which is cancer of the blood and bone marrow. Now, she's making it her mission to make sure Hispanics especially understand the importance of bone marrow transplants. Joining me now is Loriana Hernandez, and on set is Dr. Manny Alvarez. We're going to really talk about this increasingly important issue. Thank you both for being here. We're going to talk about, Loriana, first, you've really gone through some intense chemotherapy, but let's start off. You were diagnosed on a basic blood test before an embryo transfer. Is that correct?
That's right. It was shocking. I went from wanting a baby, getting ready to do an IVF transfer, to I was sick that day. They did a blood test and said, you can't have a baby, you have cancer. It was the most shocking thing. And having covered so many stories and interviewed so many cancer survivors, I was stunned and thought, what do I do? What do I do? Who do I call? It was odd to be on the other side and become the story. I really didn't know where to turn from that. And at that point, I turned to Facebook. Something we use a lot, social media, when we are reporters. And so many people jumped in and said, this is where you should go. You should go to Johns Hopkins. You need Dr. Mark Levis. And through the power of social media and everyone jumping in to help out, I was able to get a great doctor and start treatment immediately. I literally got off the plane. I was in the middle of moving here to D.C., and they checked me right into the hospital. And I just got out a few days ago.
Wow. And so you have gone through, from my understanding, it has been about 40 days of just intense chemotherapy. And because, yes, from my understanding, you were so healthy going into this, that the doctor was able to give you this intense chemotherapy that you needed and to really pump it up in the last 40 days, right?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of viewers and friends have written me and said, how can this happen to you? You're no GMO, you eat organic, you do all these fitness and health stories, show us how to get fit. And we never thought you would be the one, but it really doesn't, in many cases, doesn't discriminate. Where it discriminates is once you get diagnosed and you have that treatment. Because I'm fit, because I'm healthy, I was able to get a very, very aggressive treatment. They told me, this is going to be hell, this is going to knock you to the ground, but we feel we can get you to remission. It's going to take all of 2014, but we can do it.
Why does race or ethnicity have anything to do with bone marrow transplant? And why are there so little Latinos on this list?
Well, a couple of things. It is difficult to find a match among anybody. My probabilities of finding somebody who has very similar type of DNA, let's say, for a simple conversation, is maybe 30%. So I have a 70% chance of not finding anybody that matches me. But the second part of it is, especially for Latinos, is what Loriana is doing is very important, because she's not only bringing awareness to her disease and this type of cancer, she's also bringing awareness that a lot of these cancers, communities need to get involved. Bone marrow donation is very difficult to convince a Latino person to do. They think they're going to get sick. They think it's going to be painful. And yes, it's a sacrifice. So it's like donating blood for blood banks, So Latinos don't tend to have a very proactive approach in going directly to the hospital and calling in and saying, hey, why don't you check my blood? I might be a match for somebody. And that's one of the problems that Latinos have to realize, that bone marrow donation can save a life. Latinos do get leukemia. They do get cancer. Sometimes it's required.
Absolutely.
And it's important to get involved. Yes, in the Caucasian population, that message is more, has been more present for the longest period of time. So you see more donations.
There's a human point to this I think we need to really concentrate on here too. You have been documenting your entire journey on a blog.
Yes.
And there was a particular touching moment with your 22-month-old son, Gabriel. What happened when you saw him for the first time after nearly a month without seeing him?
I cried every day. I walked those hospital halls every day because they told me, if you're well, you're going to fight this, you're going to get out of here. They would see me walking at 3 in the morning and say, why are you up? I said, I'm walking for my son, Gabriel. We did IVF to get him. I worked hard to get him. He is my world and my rock, and my husband, Caesar. And I had visions of him running into my arms and saying, Mama. And when they brought him to the hospital to see me when I was checking out, he didn't want to talk to me. He didn't recognize me. I don't know if he was just traumatized from being away from me for 40 days. I can't explain the pain as a mother to have your son not want you to touch him, to hold him, to even say the word mama. It took 2 days. I'm sorry I'm starting to cry, but it took 2 days for him to warm up to me and remember me. And I can't imagine now. In 2 weeks, I will be back in the hospital. They gave me 25 days with him. And I am treasuring every moment with him. And I just pray to God that that he comes around, and if I'm in the hospital for 5 months, that he remembers me and still loves me and knows the sacrifice I've made to do this now so I can be with him for the rest of his life and have a long life. I can't explain the worst pain any mother could feel.
There is no doubt that he will remember you, Loriana. I mean, there is no doubt in my mind or in Dr. Manny's mind or in anybody's mind that he will remember what you've done and the journey that you're going through right now. And, we're going to... Your message and your blog, that takes, you're used to being in front of a camera, but that takes a certain something else, right? To put yourself in such a vulnerable position, because look at you, you're looking beautiful, but without the hair going on right now, and you're putting yourself out there on camera.
I'll take the hat off for a minute.
You.
This is the look. The other day, my son, we're still unpacking. I hadn't seen my house. We moved here, I hadn't seen it in my house. Went straight to the hospital. We were unpacking boxes, and my son took a brush out and brushed his hair, and he said, Mama? And I looked at him, my heart sank, and I cried, and he tried to brush my head. Put the hat back on. I'm used to, I don't run around looking like that all the time, but it broke my heart because the other day I'm supposed to wear a mask in public because I don't have the white blood count to protect myself from germs. He was horrified, so we bought him Disney masks. It's a rough transition. We're going to get there, and I'm just so excited to be able to hopefully, I feel like God has chosen me to go through this because I have that platform. I've been on the air for 20 years. I have a lot of people I can reach out to. And if I can save one life or I can save 100 lives by putting my story out there, putting my emotions out there, letting people know I'm human. I cry. I go through this. You may go through this with your family. And you can win. I'm going to win this. And I plan on spending many years enjoying my husband and my son as a survivor.
And we plan on seeing every moment of that on your blog and on TV, like you've always done, Loriana.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with me and for Dr. Manny for being here. And watch more of this here at FoxNewsLatino.com and also at FoxNews.com, the health page with Dr. Manny. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you soon.